Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I already see people are tuning in. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in to Relationship Coaching Live. And I'm always thrilled to have guests here that are amazing because I only book amazing guests. And this lady is a best-selling author. She wrote the books Percolate, the Change Guidebook, and the Success Guidebook. Please welcome to the virtual stage best-selling author Elizabeth Hamilton Guarino. Yay!
Thank
Hi,
you.
you're welcome. My middle name in Spanish is Isabel, which means Elizabeth.
I love that name. That's my grandmother's name. I'm sorry, my great grandmother's name.
Wow.
But we flipped middle names and first names through generations. So yeah, my middle name's Marie. So
Yeah, my mom's name is Elizabeth with an S, which is so crazy. I don't know why they put an S in there, but I'm from Argentina, so maybe there's something to it. So that's my middle name. So we did the same thing. We switched with generations. I didn't know other people did that.
Yeah, and actually, my close family will call me Lisa instead of the whole Elizabeth, despite there being no S in my name.
Oh,
So
wow.
instead of Liz or whatever they're going to shorten it to, they call me Lise. So
wonderful. Well, I'm so happy to have you here. You have 3 books, and I want to focus today on the Success Guidebook because we do have a relationship with success, right? We're either scared of it or we want it, but still are scared of it, right? So your book is filled with actionable advice for achieving success. It's action, it's like, this is what you got to do. And I love that because I'm a task person. So what inspired you to write this book, and how did you define success for yourself throughout the process?
So here it is, just so you can kind of see what it looks like.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it because I want to hold it up because it matches your background so well.
I love it.
There it is. So, my books are intended to meet you in that moment and give you a hug. Everything I write, so just go on and give the book a big hug, and it's there for you. These books are little cheerleaders, and that's the way I want you to feel when you're reading the book, as though you have like a personal cheerleader right with you through whatever you're going through. And I go so far as to say, I'm right here. So if you want me in real life as your cheerleader, just give me a call and I'll hang out with you on the phone. And, I wrote these books just for that, those moments in my own life where I needed a cheerleader, and people have shown up for me. And I'm like, okay, how do we put that in motion so people actually have cheerleaders when they need one? Maybe outside your family or your friends or whatever, you need an outside pair of eyes in the situation to kind of help you out. So yeah, I wrote the Success Guidebook, namely to redefine success and help us redefine success for ourselves personally and professionally, because I'm 55, I'm a mother of 4 sons, and success is all over the place. And it's not the dollars in your pocket and the analytics and what you do and all these things. Sometimes it's as simple as a feeling you have, or a smile on your face, or a smile on somebody else's face because you've helped them, or whatever it is. So we have these little successful moments, and I like to call them success stacking.
Ooh, success stacking. I love that.
You can grab onto these little moments and feel the success instead of looking at your bank account and going, I am awful, or whatever it is, right? I mean, I've had so many moments in my life like that where I'm like, I'm not making enough money. My title isn't right. The book isn't selling enough, on and on and on, all these negative things. And I like to help people flip them around in a gratitude-like way and give yourself a giant hug, give the book a hug, give whatever it is you need to give a hug, and just say, I'm enough. I am, I have value, I have worth, I have love, I have all these things in life, and I am successful.
Absolutely. I think that if our thoughts align with our emotions, then our life is so much better. If we,
emotion.
Like positive emotions, what's defined as positive emotions, right? And I read somewhere that if we change our intrusive negative thoughts to positive thoughts, then there would be less depression in our lives, which I do believe it. I understand depression is a condition that, some people have, and we all have something, right?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Maybe many things.
Many things. Yes. I know I have anxiety. And, but whenever that wants to creep in, I'm like, let's flip the thought of, oh my gosh, like you were saying, my checkbook, my bills and everything. And I'm like, breathe and just be grateful for what you have. And I know that you write your books thinking about gratitude, change, and success.
Yes.
So what inspired you to be motivated by these three big, amazing words: gratitude, change, and success?
There's number one, there's such big topics that it seems like no one can ever get a grip on them. And I'm like, we need to help people out in these moments, to help people navigate change, to help people navigate fear, to help people feel enough, and so forth. The second big thing, though, that really motivated me, I have been resuscitated twice from life-threatening food allergies. I'm 55, like I said, and I've had life-threatening food allergies since my late 20s after a pregnancy. And so I have a life-threatening condition on board every day, every time I eat something, and so forth. And, it's made me feel very much less than in moments and have anxiety in social settings and things like that. So that's the second thing. The third thing is my father is a huge influence in my books. He passed away in 2018, but it's a bummer because he was a great human. But he had a stroke in 2004. Right in the middle of the living room floor in Minnesota in his house, he had a stroke, and everything that followed after that queued up for the Best Ever You Network. It queued up for the books and so forth, because he survived things that most people don't survive. And in the way he survived, and in his attitude, attitude was so inspiring, because I remember feeling like crap with my food allergies and thinking, oh, woe is me, boo-hoo, kind of thing, and walking around stomping my feet and feeling miserable. And there he was in a rehab facility from having survived strokes and was on the mend and all this stuff. And they wheeled him into this speech therapy session. And my mom and I were in there, and the nurse said, okay, we're going to play the alphabet game. And he was pretty debilitated from what happened to him. And she said A, and he said aardvark. And my mom and I are like, huh. That's a strange word. Must be like drugs heavily on board or something. I don't know. But B was benevolence. C was courage. D was determination. E was excellent. F is a swear word I've changed to faith. Then goodness, happiness, integrity, joy, kindness, love. M was movies. O was open-minded. P was platypus, and on and on and on. And that became the basis in that exact moment for Percolate. I wrote it in my journal. This is my first book. It's a Hay House book. It was Percolate, the ABCs of Life originally. And now it's Percolate, Let Your Best Self Filter Through. And on the cover are some of the words that he talked about in that moment. And that made me just tune in and be like, oh, okay, I get it. We fight for our survival. We're resilient. We learn how to navigate change. We roll with the punch. We do all these things. And we also, in turn, share our stories so that other people don't feel alone, and we help them heal, and all of these amazing things. I just believe we are here to help each other be our best and their best.
Yeah, we are on the same page. I always say I'm here, and I stayed after my cancer journey to love and help others. Like, I knew it before intellectually, but then after my cancer healing journey, I was like, when you face your own mortality, I was like, oh yeah. And I'm going to like you're saying, we're going to go and take action and do it and not just say it. Right.
Yeah. Those are a lot of different words there. Yeah. A lot of times we're wishing for things and we're not doing them. And what I help people do is take those action steps necessary, but I back people up so that they align their heart, truths, and energy to find success in all areas of their life, so that you're not just climbing a ladder or doing this or that and ignoring all these other areas of your life. They all go round and round for comprehensive success. So I kind of preach comprehensive success, and that's sometimes a little different.
Yes.
People are like, what do you mean by that? Yeah, what do you mean by that? And I also have been on podcasts where I've been like, that answer about comprehensive success might have been different if you had me on and I was like, oh, like 19, 20, 21,
Yes.
to around there. I might be, knocking over people in my path to get, the job promotion or the money or the car or the house or the, that kind of stuff. So I know that feeling and I get it as well, especially as a mom of 4 boys who just
Wow.
all finished college. They've been all in college since 2013. All in college at once, doing various degrees and things like that. This is our first moment where we don't have kids in college and now they're getting jobs. Yeah, it's really cool. But it's big changes here in the Guarino household because, there's a lot less laundry. We've got some empty rooms. We're trying to figure out what, we're supposed to do as parents. We've been married a really long time.
Nice.
Yeah, it's super fun because your relationships change with people.
Yes.
It's really neat. It's interesting. I have adult sons now and our relationships have changed. It's like, okay, I've seen eye to eye with you as an adult now. This is strange. I remember you
Oh,
with the tooth fairy money, little one.
that is incredible. So your relationship, well, yeah, especially if, partnership,
Yeah.
it's just it changes all the time. And of course, the kids, when you had the kids, you felt more like you were mom and now you're more like adult to adult, right?
Yeah, that's a huge change to talk about with, that's one of the reasons why I wrote this one, the Change Guidebook. I'll hold this one up
Oh,
too. I talk about
the
navigating
change
change,
there.
but there's in this one, there's a whole section about, when your kids graduate high school and go on to college and you're like, huh, who are you, husband? And the divorce rates soar in those moments.
Oh,
So many of our friends so
yeah.
many of our friends and people were getting divorced right after the kids graduated high school and selling their house and moving and doing all these things. And my husband and I looked at each other and we're like, we don't want that to happen. Not that it was on the brink of happening either or anything like that, but we're like, let's make sure that doesn't happen because this is a funky, navigation because we've had so much of our identity wrapped up into the kids and their sports and their
Right.
school and their laundry even. They're making dinner at night, all the things. And so we had a lot of fun. A
Is
lot
it
of
is it more romantic now than it
fun.
was before, or how has it changed? If you don't mind me asking.
No, it is more romantic and in very different ways because we were like, what do we want to do? We're like 50, we're in our 50s and 60s and we're like, this is kind of a neat moment. And so
Yes.
what we did, we said to the kids, so we put our dreams out there and we're like, okay, we don't want to be in Maine in the winter anymore. The kids were like, oh, shocker, really? and we said we would like your support to help us live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for
Ooh.
1 month. And we tried this 3 years ago now. And so one of the kids watched the house and their dog in the house while we left. And now we're up to 3 months. We leave for 3 months.
That's amazing.
So
So you
yeah,
have
we're able to do things that we have always wanted to do.
exactly.
Super fun.
So you're kind of reconnecting in a different way, and it's
Yeah.
fun in a different way because I'm sure having kids, it's a lot of work. I don't have kids, but yeah, but it
It's
is
a lot.
fun. It has, I'm sure, its moments. I work with kids, so I know that there are moments where you're like, oh, they're so cute, and I'm glad that they go back to their parents.
I always say I'd be a great kindergarten teacher for like a few hours and then I want to go home.
Yeah.
I don't know how teachers do it. To me, they should be the highest paid individuals on the planet. They really
Yeah.
put up with, other people's children for all day long and things
I
like
don't.
that. And not only put up with it, they embrace them. They change their lives. They meet them in their own moments and make them better and think that a great teacher is the most amazing thing. I can go back and think about some really great teachers that I've had who inspire me to this day. And they're kindergarten, second grade, and fourth grade teachers. And then another one in high school that really said to me along the way, and the word stuck, you're going to be a writer one day. And I'm like, I am I? And they're like, oh yeah, for sure. Make sure you write books. And I wish Mrs. Shear, I wish Mrs. Shear was alive today to hand her the books. She would have really loved them. Really
That is so cool. That is
Yeah.
so cool. I teach swimming and I tutor kids mostly online, sometimes in person. I help them a lot. And yeah, you have to be careful because you're kind of like a role model to them. They look up to you. So I have to like really be careful what I say, and how to inspire them. I do my best to inspire them and always be positive, instead of like, you did this wrong. And I'm like, that was great. We can do it even better. You can be even faster swimming if you do this, And so it's very important to really be a good role model in whatever capacity you work with children.
It really, and you can expand that out even for that matter, because, everybody's looking for a role model, a mentor. How'd you do that? All those things that people ask. And I think one of the most important things that I remember in the back of my mind is that people will always remember how you made them feel. They might not remember the name of my book. They might not remember my name or even how to say it or whatever, but they're definitely going to remember how I made them feel. So I really try, and when I encounter anyone, meet them with compassion, elegance, grace, a sense of collaboration, perhaps, kindness, benevolence, a random act of kindness, even whatever it is. I really like to pause and slow down around people to make sure that I'm not trampling over someone accidentally, not in a rush. And so I've really learned to almost like back off and observe instead of be in my own rush and so forth. And I, like whenever people get really mad at people who honk, and I'm like, well, they could be on the way to the hospital with their wife, something like that. Other times it's rightfully so to get mad at people at honk because they're just grumpy. But I love to try and give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, you're honking and speeding for a reason. We have an emergency or something like that. So my point is, you absolutely never know what another human being is going on, what is going on in their life. There's so much stress and background noise in all of our lives that plays out. For example, you try and go to work, and your personal life doesn't stop the second you're at work. Right. You might have like, I've got to do this. You might have a sick parent. You might be sick, whatever it is. So try and really pause for humanity. And I just like to implement the pause when I'm around people.
Yes, I love that. I do that, but I never called it the pause.
Yeah.
I'm like, I call it my Zen moment. Like, okay, Grace, shh.
Well, you've got the perfect name for it. It's like grace in that moment. If somebody needs to, shove their way in front of you in line, I say, let them. It's like, you go for it. I'll back off and be mellow over here.
Yes.
You must be in a rush for some reason.
After my battle with cancer, I'm like, I will literally pick my battles because it's like, this is nothing compared to the big picture. And we're here on Earth for a relatively short period of time. So I feel like I have to have fun and make sure other people have fun when they're around me, and just, they're at peace and joy and all of those good things. And it has to start with us. If we want to help others, we have to start with us and I point to my heart. Yes. Yeah. And my new breast, by the way, I have a reconstructed breast.
Oh, nice. Well, then you're really going like this. Like they are.
It's like, I feel you, girl. Okay. It's for here.
And you're alive and you're well. And there you go.
Absolutely. But like you're saying, it's like stopping and just like take a pause, take a moment, and be like, what would be the kind way to respond to that rather than what I want to do, which is not kind at all.
Right.
So I love that. And I wanted to talk about self-doubt and fear of failure. And, many people struggle with that for sure, right? And so what advice do you have for someone who feels paralyzed by these emotions?
Yeah. Well, so I think I'm going to use the word oscillate. I think we oscillate between what's known and what's unknown. And what's known might be scary too, but what's unknown generally tends to be scarier. People fear those changes, fear their success, fear those what ifs. If I do this, what's going to happen? If I do that, what's going to happen? And we're in those moments of things that some of it we can control and some of it we can't. So we can control the controllables, and we may or may not take those leaps of faith. And that's where this book comes into play, right then and there. When you've got fear of change, fear of what's going to happen, fear of whatever it is, both of these books, actually, the Change Guidebook and the Success Guidebook, meet you right in that moment and help you navigate forward. We're moving through things like imagining. We're moving through with believing in ourselves,
Yes.
focusing. We might need to sustain our success. We might need to celebrate those little successes. All of those things that take you through the process. The more you know about how to navigate change, how to navigate success, and how to navigate with gratitude and that pause, those are tools for your best ever you toolbox. And so the more you know how to do those things, the less fear you have.
Absolutely.
You still might have fear, but we're going to tackle it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is what I do whenever the fear comes in and the intrusive, negative, fearful thought comes in, which we all have that.
Yeah.
Whether we, know that gratitude and everything is blah, blah, blah. We know
may or
all
may
that.
not work, right? Yeah.
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 And so I do what I call it the flip method, where I'm like, okay, I hear you, intrusive thought. You know what? I am not going to take you in. I reject you right now. And I'm going to switch it to a positive thought. Like, oh, you're not doing the right things. Oh, I am doing all the right things right now. And or you're a failure. I'm successful. Like I counteract what those intrusive thoughts say. And we sound like crazy people, right? That's intrusive.
No, it's interesting how I'm so glad that's catching on, because that comes from the book. That comes from my work. The flip, it's called the gratitude flip. It actually stems from my work. I didn't
know that.
And
I heard a cancer survivor say it, and I'm like, the flip method. That is brilliant.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of ways to do it, but one of the ways in gratitude is, instead of I have to do that. Kind of mode. It's I get to do that.
Yes, I love
that.
I
get to. Okay, great.
Yes.
The other thing is perspective. So gratitude flip. So we're gonna, if I looked outside right now and saw a giant flat tire on my car, I might be like, oh man, my day is shot.
Yes.
Instead, I'm gonna go, wait a minute, I've got a car. And I'm going to back it up, as silly as that sounds. And you might, and so as you practice those perspective moments more and more and more, you get so that you have gratitude on autopilot. You have to really catch yourself at first, though, and be like, okay, wait a minute, what did I just say and do? Somebody else might catch you and say it for you and say, wait a minute, we got to think differently. But as you do that, more and more and more, you will have gratitude on autopilot. And that's really what I like to teach, where you're like, okay, I woke up and I'm grateful for my breath. This day can unfold from here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't know that the flip, I heard it, like I said, I heard it, and it caught on with the cancer community.
Yeah. Two things that we've done have caught on. That one, and then the one word for your year.
One word for your year? What is that?
So at the end of the year, close to the end of the year, for the next year, I'll have people pick your one word, and that's the word that you're going to focus on for the year. So started years and years and years ago when I picked abundance. And I'm like, okay, everybody, we're going to learn about abundance this year. I've picked forgiveness. I've picked joy. I've picked healing. I've picked gratitude, all these different words. So pick a word to focus on for the year and kind of focus your energy around that. It's kind of like an anchoring in your power exercise.
I love that. And you give all your energy. We're electromagnetic beings, right? There's the Taurus field, electromagnetic. It's a whole thing. I'm a nerd. But anyway. So I do believe that whatever you put your energy into, that's what's going to flourish. And there's actually experiments where, like, if you talk to a plant, like, I hate you, you're nothing, the plant dies. Or even rice. They did it with rice also. And the rice was just starting to mold and whatever, just not good, no bueno. And then the ones that they spoke to, like, I love you, you're amazing. So that energy got to the plants and the food, and the plants were like so beautiful. And it definitely, I think that energy does change our cellular structure, especially.
Kids, sponges for that. Cats, dogs, animals, children, people, other people. We need that for sure. For sure. I can think of I'm pointing over here because I had a feral cat. the cat is now since been with us for years now. The cat is 20, but we got her as a feral animal.
Yeah.
And I took her because she wasn't hissing at any of the kids or anything like that. She was just like, I'm scared. Something happened and I'm scared. And she's a love bug. Her name's Mel, the podcast kitty, and she's with me on all of my podcasts. But you can apply that energy, oh, I love you. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, you're this or that. And you can change lives.
You can definitely do that. I with my cancer healing journey, every day I made it a point, like I would say, I am perfectly healed. I am beautiful. I am healthy. I am order. I am harmony. I am truth, because cancer is a mistake, right? An error from the body. So I kept saying, I am truth. And just by saying those things, not only did I feel better, even though I was the treatment, I'm a triple threat. I did surgery, chemo, and radiation. So yeah, it was brutal, but I'm cancer free now. So thank God for that.
Yeah.
Whew. So, but I do believe it helps me not only feel better, but I think that my cells heard me. And I know it sounds super crazy, but I'm not ready to talk about it, but I do that when something is, because I still have side effects from the chemo and stuff.
Sure.
And so whenever something is a side effect and I just send white light to that part of my body, it's literally the MRI from before and after I do that. There's two different things.
Yeah. Well, when my dad was so sick in the hospital for those 3 years, fighting in and out of ICU and rehab and things like that, fighting to get back home after his stroke, one of the things that we did was my mom, so I'm in the middle of a lot of kids. So we all the grandkids, kids and everybody, we plastered his room with pictures of ourselves, not that he could see them or anything like that, but the nurses and doctors couldn't, and it creates compassion. We had movies going for him because he loved movies and could, hear them. Music, talking, people, anything going on in his room that was happy, energetic, joyful, and things like that. Not toxic positivity. I'm not talking about that. I'm just like the right amount of necessary keep you alive things, because when you're in those situations, sometimes it feels like you're just like a number.
Yes.
And we applied humanity to the situation. You couldn't come into his room as a doctor or nurse and not see that wall and not feel and care about him.
I love that.
Very, very good friends with the doctors and the nurses, and he would go back and ring the bell that ICU survivors ring and things like that. That was a really, really, really hard time, and so I feel for people who go through things. That's part of why I write my books and things like that, is the grief, the loss, the changes, and everything that you navigate. And sometimes you have something on board with you, or you've gone through something and it doesn't look like it. Like people look at you and have no idea.
Right.
Absolutely no idea what you've gone through, been through, survived, or anything like that, unless they stop, pause, and ask you, and you're willing to share, or they've read up on you, or whatever it is. And so, and that's probably a pretty long story, but when you do things like that, what you're saying, the energy around you being positive when you're really faced with a terrible situation, it certainly doesn't hurt.
Oh, absolutely not. This is an experience I had after my treatment. I like to go to the beach. It was a big deal because I could barely walk and not get out of breath, because they do radiation on your chest, and so the lungs get affected, right?
Yeah.
It's gone now, it's okay. But so I would just walk to my little bench and look at the ocean, and I just was so grateful to be alive and to be cancer free at that moment, and to have survived this journey. And I was actually even grateful for this journey, because it made me be a better version of myself, which I never even thought or knew it existed.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I feel that same way too. I'm like, there's some things that have happened that have made me a better human, and they're kind of negative and hard and things like that. But that's part of the human experience, I think. And we change and we learn and we grow and we age and we go through things. And so, we're a collective experience. And I think that's wonderful. So
Absolutely. So in closing arguments for this
you got to
trial
go on my show. We'll have some fun.
yes, for this trial of success. So as someone who studied success, right, deeply, what is one piece of advice you would give to someone just starting out on their journey to creating a successful life?
Oh, don't compare yourself to others.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Remember, you're authentically you. You are you. We need you. We don't need fake you. We don't need trying to be somebody else you. We don't need comparison you. All of those things that we do, especially in this age of social media, we need you. And that sometimes is very hard because somebody may have gotten into your head and your space and so forth with naysayer mode. Said, you can't do that. Why you? All that stuff. And so we need you. And I always give people, I don't actually issue these, but I tell people you need earplugs and bubble wrap. Earplugs for the naysayers and bubble wrap because it's awfully bumpy out there. In your journey of remaining authentically you, you're going to bump into people who just don't believe in you the way you believe in you. So if you're believing in you, you go for it. And that's who we need. That will make you your most authentically successful you, really believing in yourself. And that is a hard thing to do. Chapter 2 in this book is a whole chapter on that.
The success book?
Yes. College baseball took over chapter 2 of my book. The head coach of Georgetown University baseball, Coach Edwin Thompson, and my own son, Cameron Guarino, took over chapter 2. And they write all about believing in yourself.
Oh, that's
really cool. Yeah. And the Savannah Bananas are in here too. Talk about believing in yourself. I don't know if you know who the Savannah Bananas are, but they're in here. And they talk about they're kind of like a baseball circus. They've changed baseball completely, where you dance and sing. Look them up after the show. But they're in here and everybody thought they were bananas. Their idea. And look at them now. They are everywhere. And it's so cool. Look at social media and the Savannah Bananas.
Well, sometimes people are ahead of the curve and ahead of the timeline. I'm a quantum physics nerd. So it's like they're on a different timeline, almost operating on a different timeline. And people are on another timeline. So they're like, what are you talking about? Right?
That happens with success too. You might be just early to the timeline. I've had that happen to me a few times. I'm like, oh, this isn't working. Then you'll see it 5 years later. I'm like, so it happens.
I love that. So basically believe in yourself, be authentic, and be grateful for everything, right? And we're not taking anything with us.
We're not entitled to time.
No,
we're not. You're absolutely not entitled to time. So once you figure that out and really implement it into your world, it makes every single nanosecond of your life matter.
I love that.
Back up and go, what exactly am I doing with my time here?
Absolutely. And you having your NDEs, near death experience, and me having to face my mortality, I think that gives you such a different perception of time, which is a social construct, by the way. It's like, what is time anyway? We're stuck in this dimension with time and space, but that's okay. We came here for a reason. But yeah, not to take anything for granted, and also not to take time for granted, because it's almost like, I don't know if this happens to you, but before I do something or I plan to spend time with someone, I'm like, how is this enhancing my life?
Yeah, absolutely.
I
think, I don't know if we do that when we're kids. Maybe this generation does now because they're way more involved with self-help and awareness. And there's a social awareness group these days. I remember just being a kid and just kind of going from moment to moment to moment to moment. And then started to get a little bit older, got some food allergies on board, had some of my children and things like that. I'm like, oh, hang on. Wait a minute. Yeah. And then my father got sick and I was like, really hold on. And then when he passed away in 2018, it was like, oh, super hold on. I remember he was so sick. I went home for Christmas and he was like, this is going to be my last Christmas. I don't know if anybody knows that, but you and Mom. but yeah, it will be. Just trust me on this because I'm getting sick and sicker. And I said, what are we going to do without you? This is just the worst idea. This is the worst concept ever. The thought of the world without you. And he's like, you're going to put one paw in front of the other and continue on. I'm like, oh, you're going to make me, because I love cats and everything. And he, oh, yeah, the worst. And so
sounds like such an amazing human.
Yeah, really cool. And so for 2 years after he died, I was like, oh, I don't know what matters. You know that feeling? Like when you go through something really profound and your life is at stake or somebody has passed away around you, you really go, I could wear a brown shoe and a blue shoe and it really doesn't matter. You know,
nothing matters.
It doesn't matter.
Totally.
It's weird. You have to kind of pull yourself back to like, okay, yeah, some things do matter. But I remember right after he died, because I saw him take his last breath, I was like, oh, yeah, my house. It made things not matter. And it was really funky for a while. And I still kind of feel, I still am very sensitive to that, like very material things. I'm like, oh, I don't need so much anymore. Yeah.
We don't need anything. I'm always happy for like a roof over my head and food.
Yeah.
I'm a foodie, and having medical care. I mean, how much more? And great friends. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd throw pizza and maybe some ice cream in there too, or some chocolate chip cookies into that mix. I gotta have some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I get it completely. And I feel the same way. So that's my work. That's why besteveryou.com exists. That's the books and so forth. And it's just to be super mindful, especially around other people, and be kind and sweet to people, because that you just have absolutely no idea what we're all going through.
Exactly. Like you were saying, when we're in traffic, my instinct is like when they honk or they're like, we're like, in LA especially. And I'm like, no, Grace, wish them well.
With my name, Grace, I'm going to wish you some grace.
Yes. And I always kind of like say, hey, be careful on the road because you're a little crazy today. So, and I just, let it go. And it's so much better to let go of things that really don't matter in the big picture. They really have absolutely no bearing or influence in your life. You know, we just create our own reality. And why not create a reality that has joy, peace, authenticity, gratitude, and the little things that don't matter? Who cares?
Yeah. And it helps you too when you're around somebody who is wired like an 8-day clock to, help control yourself around the people who do move at Mach speed and do move at this and do things more stressful and things like that. And sometimes you're a really good influence around those people as well, to say, how's that working out for you? What really matters? Or, there's a lot of questions you can ask when somebody's super stressed out or harried or whatever.
Absolutely. 100%. Well, this was so fun. We went a little bit over the usual time, but that's okay because you're amazing. And please, guys, get the book because, as you heard, she's amazing. She's got it down. She's got it. Okay. She knows, like big KNOWS. She knows. So she has 3 books: the Change Guidebook, the Success Guidebook, and Percolate. So they're all available on Amazon.
Yeah.
So and they're available on Kindle, right?
They are. They're available. These 2 are distributed by Simon & Schuster. This one's by Penguin. They're available wherever books are sold. Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Kindle. They're audiobooks too. That was really fun, taping audiobooks. That was a new experience, heading to Boston for a week and taping the audiobooks. So really proud of the audiobooks.
That's amazing.
I love them. They're audiobooks too.
Yes, audiobooks are great because you can listen to them when you're driving. It's just so good. I love audiobooks. Yeah. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. We had like constant people. They haven't moved. It's the same people. I can tell by my, they show me here. You know how it is, right? So we had people, so they really enjoyed you and loved you. So get her books, you guys. And also you have a podcast. What is the name of the podcast?
I do. So everything I do is called Best Ever You. So it's the Best Ever You show. And
Love.
Grace, you got to come on to my show. We will have so much fun. We'll do a StreamYard live from my platform and have you on and talk about whatever you want to talk about. Your book. I know you have a new book coming out tomorrow too. So
yes.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I would love to. Absolutely. So it's a date.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everything I do is at besteveryou.com.
Best ever. Okay, let me put that
So
here.
besteveryou.com.
Best ever you.
Yep. .com.
Okay, so you guys, everything. I'm going to put the banner up. Did I spell?
That's it.
Best ever you. Okay, I spelled it correctly.
Yes, you did. That was pretty good on the fly.
Yeah, because I have a podcast where like that's my flagship show, and I have an engineer, but the other lives I engineer them myself. So you know, I'm trying to keep my eyes there while typing.
That was pretty good. Well, we'll have to practice that when you're on my show, because I do my show on StreamYard too live, and I will type in some things while you're talking.
Yes.
It's really funny.
I know, but you have to be
We
like,
love
oh,
Grace.
sure. And I also have another computer here showing me the image, how it's looking on YouTube. So I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Okay, what? It's that ability to multitask, right?
Yep.
That's amazing. All right, you guys, thank you again for tuning in. And thank you, Elizabeth, for being so amazing and for making a difference in the world, one paw at a time.
Yes.
Yay. All right, my loves. Mwah. I love you so much. Thank you so much for always tuning in and being supportive. And I will see you in an hour and a half for the Cancer Joy Club. All right, so stay tuned.